Okay, here's the assignment today. You're going to kind of combine two lessons, separate lessons into one. You're going to find this product. So remember, when I'm multiplying, that's 3 steps, okay? So first thing I do is label my radicals. If I don't have a label, it's automatically 2. So I make a radical 2, and then I circle the insides. So I'm going to take 8 times 40, just like I had been before, 320, okay? Now, you also have letters. The letter I have is y. Now, here's what you do with the powers on the y. You don't times those. You add the powers on the y. When we multiply those, we write the variable, but we plus the powers. 5 plus 2 is 7. Okay? Now, my next step is I'm going to put the square root of 320 like before, but then I'm going to put another radical 2 with a y to the 7th. Okay? Like that. So you're going to break it up into 2. And you're going to drop your 2 down, okay? You don't have to put anything outside because there's no outsides that I had to deal with, okay? And I want to be on the 2 side, so 320 by 225. Fail. 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 Darn Hermson. 320 divided by 81. Fail. Oh, finally I got it. Okay, so I rewrite it into 2. Remember, I'm always dividing into it if it's not on the list. So if I divide that by 64, I get 5. Okay. So 64 turns into 8. Now remember, we place the 8 outside. Now give yourself some room today, okay? You might be putting some stuff there. And the 5's inside, okay? Now let's talk about our variable, okay? First, go to your scratch paper that I gave you. Just copy it down and see if we can do it the quick way. Okay, remember we put a 2, 7 divided by 2 then. Nope, I can't. I got 3.5. That is a decimal, so that won't work. So we have to list out y's. Okay, so it's a square root. I go 2 at a time. Y. Y. All these y's I'm bringing up here are going outside of the radical over here. Okay. Then we put a radical there. So how many y's was I able to bring up to the top? 3. Okay. So y to the 3rd power is outside. And then we have y inside. Now if I look outside, the only big number I have is 8, so I don't need to do step 3. Okay, that is my solution right there. My answer, I should say. Simplification, it's not really a solution. Okay, next one. 1 and 2 and 3. So remember, these are of a 2. So I put my 2, and I focus on the insides, okay? So 8 times 3 is 24. Now on x, you have x to the 5th, and if this x doesn't have a power, we put a 1 there. Remember, I'm adding those powers, okay? I'm multiplying the big numbers, but I'm plussing the powers. 5 plus 1 is 6. Okay, now line up your radical, and we're going to go over here and simplify. So just like before, I put the square root of 24, and then I put the square root of x to the 6th, okay? So we're on the big list again, 24. Okay, it's not here, so we need to break it down using 2 radicals. So 24 I would divide by 16. Decimal. 24 divided by 9 decimal. 24 divided by 4. So I got 4 and 6, okay? So the square root of 4 becomes 2. And again, I place a 2 outside and the 6 inside. Give yourself some space between the 2 and the radical because there might be some things we pull out there. All right, now let's go to this scratch paper here and first copy that down. See if we can do that the quick way. Put a 2, and I divide 6 by 2. If it's a decimal, I don't want any part of this way, okay? But it's not, it's 3, so cross that out, replace it with 3, and these can go bye-bye, and you have just x to the third, okay? Now you're like, where do I put x? You can just put equals x to the third then. Now you're like, well, where do I put that? Does it go here or here? Now whenever this method works, cut and dry, we put x to the third outside. You're not going to have any x's inside. And again, I don't need this because 2 is the only big number factor outside. Okay, let's look at our next one. 1, 2, 3. So our radical's a 3. It's a cubed root. Okay. So look at focus on the insides. I will be taking 5 times 50 and got 250. And then with the y's, remember we add the powers. 3 plus 4 is 7. Now don't forget, you got a 3 and a 2. You need to times those. 3 times 2 is 6, and that goes here. So don't forget about that. So when I'm lining this up, I drop the 6 and kind of forget about it for the time being. Okay, I give myself some space. Okay, then I make my radical 3. Okay, so what's going to be here? What's going to be out? Well, let's simplify it. So you got the cubed root of 250, and we have the cubed root of y to the 7th. So 250, we go to our paper. Okay, and we're on the 3's. 250 is not here, so I divide it into 2 cubed roots. So 250 divided by 216 decimal 250 divided by 125 is 2. Okay, so that becomes 5. Now again, that goes outside, so I just put a times 5 in the front. That goes to the front, and this 2 goes behind it. Now let's talk about our variables. This is a quick way going to work. Maybe you know if it will or not, okay? So I would put a 3 there. 7 divided by 3 is a decimal, so I'm going to have to do it the long way. So 3 at a time. 3 of them at a time. Remember, pay attention to what you're doing there. Y. Then this one stays in without a y at the top. So we got y to the 2nd then, because there's 2 of them, and that's outside, okay? And then we put that y inside, okay? Now you got to do step 3 because you have 2 big numbers, okay? You need to take 5 times 6. That would give you 30. And then the y to the 2nd. And then my radical with the label of 3, and then 2y. Okay, and that's that. Okay, last one. Radical 4, and I take 27 times 6, 162. Okay, and then 3 plus 2 is 5. And then y to the 3rd. Now you're like, well, what about the y? You're kind of wondering, what do I do with this y? This is the only y I have. Well, then you write it in. It's to the 3rd power, okay? And then 2 times 4 is 8. So I line up the 8, give myself some room, okay, with a 4. And now I'm going to make 3 of them because I have the 4th root of 162, okay, just like before, just like last week. But then I create separate roots for the letters, so x to the 5th, and then another 4th root with y to the 3rd. Okay. So 162, you know how to do that, okay? You look at the list. So 162 divided by 81, you'd start at 81. Remember, start at the first number that's lower. That works. That's 2. Okay. So it's 81 and 2. So the 4th root of 81 then changes into 3. Okay. So remember what we do with it. The 3 goes to the front. Just put a times 3 because it's not going to be 38. It's 8. 3 times 8. And that 2 is going in. Okay. Now the letters, you do them separately. I think if I take 5 by 4, that's a decimal. So I want to definitely line them up, and it's 4 at a time, okay? And this gets its own, but no x comes at the top because there's only one of them. So I have an x outside. Usually you put your variables after the numbers if you're wondering about that. There's still an x left that goes inside. Now let's talk about this one, y to the third. Try to do 4 of them at a time, but you can't. So you just put a root, and you're not going to bring anything to the top because there's got to be 4 of them. So you're not going to have any y's outside because you didn't bring any to the top. You have 3 y's inside. So it's y to the third. Okay, and then you need to do step 3 because we have a 3 times an 8. So 24x, and then the fourth root, 2xy to the third. Okay, I hope that made sense. If you got any questions, don't hesitate to come back and ask me. Have a good one.